A Royal Caribbean cruise ship in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean sounded the alarm as water and smoke filled the first floor of the ship. We'll tell you what went down on Jewel of the Seas. Carnival Cruise Line is making some waves with some major announcements this week. Not only do we have new protocols for next year, we also have a brand new ship announcement. Not only do we know the name, not only do we know the home port, but we also now have a name, and you have to watch if you want to find out. Well, it's Friday, and that means tomorrow begins another round of cruise ship restarts. We've got them coming at you in today's episode, plus we have 2 cancellations to sadly announce. All this coming up on Midships. Hey, welcome to the Midships YouTube channel. I'm your Captain Corey. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel today. The keen-eyed amongst you will know that I'm finally back in my home studio here in Central Florida. I just finished a 4-night cruise aboard MSC Divina, and unfortunately, just like last time, the internet just wasn't up to par to keep up with my daily episodes, so I do apologize for that. However, I will be starting another cruise this Monday aboard Odyssey of the Seas, and I expect to be able to keep up with my normal schedule because Odyssey of the Seas is Royal Caribbean's newest ship, and I anticipate them to have a little bit better internet service on board. Now let's hop into today's cruise news with some feel-good restart stories, and the first one comes out of Port Canaveral. From the Orlando Sentinel by Richard Trebeau, Port Canaveral, full steam ahead with the return of Norwegian Cruise Lines. The last of Port Canaveral's home-ported cruise lines is now ready to join the party, as Norwegian Escape will make her debut this Saturday. And we have a quote from the CEO of Port Canaveral, Captain John Murray. He said, "We're excited that Norwegian is finally back, and at this point we'll have all 5 of our brands up and operating." The cruise line has only dipped its toes in the state of Florida since sailings restarted after the industry shutdown in March of 2020. It first rejoined the action in Florida from Miami in August, but now with Norwegian Escape, it joins Carnival, Disney, Royal Caribbean, and MSC Cruises sailing from the Port Canaveral, Orlando, Florida area. And that's not the only good restart news we have going on this weekend. Let's take a trip up north to Baltimore and find out who's restarting from Carnival Cruise Line. From cruiseindustrynews.com, after a 20-month operational pause, the Carnival Legend will welcome guests back on November 14th. The 2002-built vessel is kicking off a program of 7-night cruises to the Bahamas out of the Port of Baltimore. She'll depart every Sunday, and the itinerary will call at Nassau and Freeport, as well as one of 2 cruise line islands, either Half Moon Cay or Princess Cay. So that's great news for everybody who loves to sail out of the Port of Baltimore, as well as Port Canaveral. Now, with good news sometimes comes bad, and unfortunately I have to share 2 cancellations with you. Let's start first with Norwegian Cruise Lines. From CruiseHive.com by Emrys Thacker, NCL cancels the Norwegian Encore due to unforeseen circumstances. Norwegian Cruise Lines informed guests that the Norwegian Encore sailing on November 14th from Miami, Florida has been canceled due to unforeseen circumstances. The announcement comes as the vessel remains on hold, waiting to transit the Panama Canal. And you know, it's funny that this hold is continuing. I've recently heard from other cruise YouTubers, I believe it was Don with Don's Family Vacations, who said he got stuck trying to get through the Panama Canal. So it seems like the backup is still going on. So unfortunately, that's going to cause the November 14th sailing for Norwegian Encore to be pushed and canceled. So I'm sorry if you were booked on board that ship. Now, we also have bad news for Carnival Cruise Line travelers wanting to go to Hawaii. From CruiseHive.com, again by Emrys Thacker. Carnival Cruise Line cancels sailing to Hawaii from Long Beach. Even though Carnival's cruise ships are gradually returning to service through spring of 2022, it remains a very complex situation, and not all ports are yet able to fully cater to cruise ships. That includes Hawaii, which is not yet ready to welcome back Carnival Miracle for her Carnival Journey sailing that was slated to depart Long Beach on November 28th. So with the cancellation news out of the way, let's point our focus onto Carnival Cruise Line and their protocols they just announced going forward into 2022. From CruiseHive.com by Emrys Thacker, Carnival provides major update on protocols and ships waiting to restart. And I'm going to pass over the restart news. I may share a little bit of that with you in another Midships episode, but here is the 2022 protocol update. Carnival Cruise Line has now decided to extend its vaccinated sailings through March of 2022. It does mean that protocols will remain in place to keep guests protected across the fleet, including beyond the end of the CDC's conditional sailing order on January 15th of 2022. However, the cruise line is making some changes for unvaccinated guests concerning exemptions. Carnival had previously closed exemption requests for sailings in 2022, but has now reopened the option for sailings through March 31st of next year. The cruise line says vaccine exemptions for cruises to the Caribbean will be limited to a very small number of children under the age of 12, teens, as well as adults with medical conditions who can provide written confirmation from their medical provider that they cannot be vaccinated for a valid medical reason. This will apply only to Carnival cruises from Florida, Texas, Louisiana, Maryland, South Carolina, and Alabama. For California sailings, the cruise line says vaccine exemptions for ships departing Long Beach will be accepted for children under 12 as required by U.S. federal law. Exemptions depend on the capacity of an individual ship, and to make sure the number of unvaccinated guests doesn't go over the maximum, exemptions will be approved very near to the sailing date, which will cause issues for guests. The situation remains fluid, and many aspects also depend on the ports that ships visit. And in some really good news for mommies and daddies cruising aboard Carnival, Camp Ocean is coming back. With Carnival Cruise Line making updates to their protocols that run through March of next year, there's also good news for those waiting for Camp O, or Camp Ocean, to be reopened across the fleet. Now that authorities in the US have approved vaccines for children aged 5 to 11, Carnival is looking to finally reopen Camp Ocean. However, the program will only be for kids who are fully vaccinated, beginning on sailings starting December 10th of 2021. So for those of you who like a little quieter cruise without so many children on board, this early December time around December 10th is when children can be expected to be fully vaccinated. At least those who are receiving their shots this week will be considered fully vaccinated for that week of December 10th. So that's a little pro tip for you. Get your cruise in now if you want maybe a little bit quieter experience on board. And I can tell you, it is very quiet on a lot of these ships right now. So we've got two stories about the port of Galveston, one about Royal Caribbean and one about a brand new ship for Carnival Cruise Line. Let's go ahead and start with Royal Caribbean though. From CrewCenter.com, Galveston becomes the home port of yet another Royal Caribbean ship. This week, Royal Caribbean's Adventure of the Seas was welcomed to Galveston for the first time, where she started sailing a series of cruises to the Western Caribbean. The vessel joins Liberty of the Seas, which also is homeported at Galveston. Royal Caribbean is steadily increasing capacity on board its ships, with Adventure of the Seas expected to reach up to 3,100 guests on board per voyage. And that's really exciting because I'm actually booked on Adventure of the Seas out of Galveston in just a few weeks' time on the December 1st sailing. And the best news of all is she just completed a dry dock just a couple weeks ago, so it should be a fantastic ship in absolutely beautiful condition. I can't wait to hop on board Adventure of the Seas. If you have some extra vacation time to use up, why don't you consider popping on the sailing? I love meeting and mingling with the Midships family on board, so never, never, never be scared to say hey to old Captain Corey. And speaking of the port of Galveston, the biggest news of the day coming out from Carnival is a brand new ship is coming to Galveston in 2023. From thepointsguy.com by Ashley Kosiolek, Carnival Cruise Line names new ship, reveals Texas home port. And here we have a photo of the brand new ship in the Excel class, the Carnival Jubilee. Carnival will bring one of its largest new ships to Galveston, which will serve as the home port for the line's third Excel class vessel. Carnival also revealed Thursday that in keeping with the class's throwback name scheme, the ship will be called the Carnival Jubilee. The original Carnival Jubilee debuted way back in 1986 as the second ship in the line's now retired holiday class of vessels. The new version is set to begin sailing in 2023. Sister ship Mardi Gras, which began sailing earlier this year, and a recently named Carnival Celebration, which I'm going to show you some photos of her construction, will join the fleet next year. Both of these ships also bear the namesake of some of the line's earlier vessels. And don't forget, I'll be sailing aboard the Carnival Mardi Gras just following my Adventure of the Seas cruise on December 11th out of Port Canaveral. Fantastic ship. I already know many of you in the Midships family who are planning to be on the cruise. I can't wait to run into each and every one of you. Now let's go ahead and look at the progress going on from the Carnival Celebration, as Carnival's brand ambassador John Heald recently posted some updates on his Facebook page. And this comes from a Cruise Radio article by Sarah Bretz. And here's the quote from John Heald, brand ambassador for Carnival Cruise Line. Carnival Celebration has now completed the bow section. Big fun is coming in 2022. The vessel is set to debut with a 14-night Carnival Journeys transatlantic crossing, which departs Southampton on November 6th, 2022. She'll arrive in Miami on November 20th. And I'm just going to scroll through the additional photo here of the bow section. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get into today's thumbnail story about the Royal Caribbean Jewel of the Seas and the Bravo, Bravo, Bravo emergency that was called out while in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And if you're not familiar with what Bravo, Bravo, Bravo means on board a cruise ship, I will read you the definition. It is used by many cruise lines to alert the crew of a fire or serious incident on board without alarming passengers. So let's hear what happened aboard Jewel of the Seas. From CrewCenter.com. Breaking Bravo code on the Jewel of the Seas in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And here you can see the position of Jewel of the Seas when this emergency code rang out. And I just want you to put yourself in the position of the crew on board this ship. You hear Bravo, Bravo, Bravo. You get your life jacket on. You start to maybe smell smoke. You hear rumors of water coming into the ship. You're getting ready to launch the lifeboats. This would be an absolute worst case scenario for any crew member. A fire on board a ship, especially in this part of the sea, that is a very dangerous situation. So with that out of the way, let's get into the full story. CrewCenter has been informed that a Bravo code was sounded on Jewel of the Seas. The ship is now sailing across the Atlantic Ocean to Miami, where she's scheduled to arrive November 14th, just a couple days from now. The vessel is in the middle of the Atlantic, which is the worst place to have an emergency situation arise. The source for this article comes from a crew member on board who said that all crew were donning their I-95 life jackets and the atmosphere was tense. Water was seen flooding into the ship on deck 1 in the forward section of the vessel, and the water intrusion caused a chemical reaction which created a bunch of black smoke inside the ship. The portside launching team was called to their emergency stations in order to prepare for a launching of the lifeboats, and everybody was on standby, said the crew member on board. Shortly after the events began, the captain made an announcement that the situation was finally under control. As of now, there are no known injured crew members during the emergency. Jewel of the Seas is currently sailing across the Atlantic with only crew members on board, and no passengers were there during the emergency. Now, you might remember Jewel of the Seas because we've been reporting on the ship, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 times now. She spent the summer sailing over on Mediterranean itineraries and was really struggling with COVID on board the ship. So Jewel of the Seas has had a little bit of a rough time, but I wish Royal Caribbean the best. Hopefully the damage that happened down in the lower portion on the front of the ship was just sort of surface level. I'm not sure exactly what they keep up there on deck 1, but hopefully nothing really happened to any of the guest areas. We wish you all the best for Jewel of the Seas. If you made it this far into today's video, why haven't you subscribed to the channel? Pretty soon, I'm going to be turning the comment section to subscribers only. So if you'd like to leave feedback on any of our videos, make sure you go ahead and get subscribed so you can do that going forward. Additionally, I have to ask you a huge favor. The biggest thing you can do to support the channel is give a thumbs up on this video. It tells YouTube to push this out to even more cruisers just like you. Thanks so much for tuning into the channel today, and until tomorrow, we'll see you on the Midships.
La 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 la.